Happy Sunday. Coming to you from the bedroom instead of the office tonight as I hide from my kids. Somehow, August is tomorrow, and that is wild. I have no idea how that happened. I apologize. This whole month, time is, I can't tell you how many times I've said this over the course of the month. Time is like a flat circle. I am so sorry. I did not know what day it was because it's true. Maybe part of it was being on a vacation for as long as we were. Maybe part of it is the fact that this is, again, the third year in a row when I've not been part of an aggressive training plan counting down to the fall, which, for a lifetime that has revolved around a marathon training plan and marathon training season, I just haven't adapted yet. That's part of it. And part of it still is the fact that, I don't know, something just sort of happened during the shutdown, the lockdown 2 years ago. And for my perception of time, just has never fully recovered. So I don't have any excuses or understanding as to why this particular summer has been more disorienting than summers past, but that could also have something to do with the weather. I don't know if y'all saw, but Coach Nakia is in town. She joined me and stayed with me on Wednesday and Thursday. We hung out with Cade, one of our sponsored athletes, and we met up with Coach Amy, who ran Runner the now currently paused Runner Interrupted program. And we had a really great time talking about next year, throwing out ideas, because once Violet goes back to school, I will have a lot more time to do things, or so I think. But that's probably the biggest barrier to me getting anything done or being productive, is the fact that I have someone at home who wants more and more and more input. And, she's going to take it one way or another. So all that aside, Coach Nakia I'm not behind because Coach Nakia was in. I did not care that I was behind because Coach Nakia was in town. And after a full 4 days of peopling, we found my limit of peopling, and I've been in this bed all day long. I'm probably going to get right back into it while I bang out August for you guys. But yeah, when time is a flat circle, nothing really feels, I don't want to say it doesn't feel important. It just doesn't. Deadlines are like, meh. And for me, most of the time, like anyone who's ever worked with me at any point in time can tell you that if I don't do well with arbitrary deadlines, it's like, oh, you made this up to get this out of your checklist. There's not actually, this deliverable isn't actually necessary for another 3 or 4 weeks. And I would frequently drive teams completely up the wall with that. It's like, because deadlines would shift for all the time, then if deadlines are a constantly shifting thing, then why ride me about them? Just be like, well, this is a general suggestion. So with this hard deadline of August 1st approaching, the general suggestion of, hey, maybe you should get this done, was ignored, very much in line with me over the course of my life. And I apologize. I know we got planners out there who've been asking for 2 or 3 days, like, where is it? And I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. And I am sorry. But like I said, with time being a flat circle, I was behind. Coach Nakia being here, I was unable to care that I was behind. So, but it will happen tonight. Don't worry. We only have a couple of questions before I go back into the fetal position from peopling all weekend and the children trying to get, when I'm with me being out of the house most of the time, they're not used to it. So they're going to get their mommy time one way or another. And they've been jumping up and down on this bed around me all day long. It's been a lot. But the final thing to remember, or before I go into the questions, though, I want to talk a little bit about the weather. When Coach Nakia got here, it was originally to run a race in Estes Park. Then we got 2 feet of hail, Hail, 2 feet of it landed in Estes Park on Thursday night. And I said to her, how committed are you to running this race? Because first of all, coming to run a race at altitude is generally not something I recommend, let alone 1,000 feet higher than where I live in Denver. Even with the 2 or 3 days of staying here, with the idea being it would acclimate her to Estes Park, this should get up there and successfully run. And then 2 feet of hail came, and it was like, yeah, absolutely not. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. It's not worth the risk. In a year like this, when it feels like everything's off, if you do have a really hard goal for the fall, let's talk about it. Please get in office hours and let's start getting into a routine. The biggest question I've been getting from people is like, how do I get started again? And I want to remind you, it is valid to be there because there has never been more working against you, especially the weather. not to get political, not trying to get political. I'm not, this is not a political statement, but the weather's changing, y'all. And 2 feet of hail in the middle of July, at the end of July, is wild, even for Estes Park. That ruined, I'm sure, a race for a whole bunch of people. And I know that like the thunderstorms that we've been having every afternoon, which are, again, not normal this late in the game in Colorado, or the wildfires that we are having, again, not normal this late in the game in Colorado. There's a whole lot between the air quality, the sheer heat, and the if time's a flat circle for you too. There's just a lot working against you, because again, in a normal year, which the last normal year I remember was really 2019, when I was training, I had things to do, I had the calendar, I had the kids stuff. Things felt like time moved me. And this is, again, we're entering the 3rd year of nothing is moving except for time, and I feel behind it. So if that's where you are, I want you to know that's valid, that's real, and you are not alone. I do not necessarily think that imposing a training plan on things is likely to turn that around, just because, again, if there's a little bit of MK in you, and I believe that any sort of made-up deadline or made-up thing trying to trick you into do something you don't want to do is probably not going to work, at least not in the long run. So the question I've been getting most in office hours is, I've not really been doing anything. How do I go like from step 1 to step 2? And I'm like, how about we think about going from like 0 to do? Let's start there, from like I'm not doing to I'm doing. And what does that look like for you? And not to be totally like didactic about it, but theoretically, like rebuild was something that I created for people to rebuild the running habit, as well as the fitness required to start training for bigger things. So if you look at rebuild and you're like, that's too much, cool. Again, valid. Even I'm not able to commit to rebuild right now with everything we got going on with my body. What I can do, and what I advise y'all to do, is number 1, sort of make space for it. My husband has his workout time each day, and I have mine. Used to be, again, for years and years. If y'all have been here for a while, then you know it. I got out of bed and I went for my run first thing in the morning, and then the rest of the day happened. Ever since our HRH came into our lives, the rhythm has changed quite a bit, and the time I have found that it works best is right after I drop everybody off at camp. And that's later than I like. It's warmer than I like. It's the past 2 weeks has been much more humid than I like. But that is if I can conscientiously not schedule anything before 11 in the morning, then that means once I drop the kids off, I can get my workout in, or be that a walk that I'm listening to an audiobook, or listening to Beyonce's new album. It's really good, y'all. Or whatever, trying to get my, keep a Peloton streak going, whatever I've kind of chosen to do that day. It's probably going to be walking. At least it has been most days. Then that's when that time's going to happen. Because then I come back and shower, and when I walk in, my husband takes his place on the bike. So I know I need to be back by 10:30 in order for that to happen. So I tell you that to tell you this. That is one way we, 2 people being at home, working from home, have kept each other accountable. Not accountable, but like it's more likely to get done if there's a window. And the window that has emerged for me, and my hard stop, is for him to start. And that has worked really well. So if part of the reason you're not getting things done is because you're working from home still, and that's an awesome thing, let me tell you, working from home in a lot of ways is harder, because there's no hard boundaries around when work starts and when it stops, and when you're on the clock and off the clock. So that it can feel weird taking things in the middle of the day. But a lot of us who work really weird hours, why not take a weird break in the middle of the day to get your workout done? There's that. If you can take some conference calls or Zooms while walking, while moving, I bet you can get just as much done. Let's see if you could do that. So 0 to do is not about, again, really trying to hardcore train or accomplish, but rather give yourself, it's an understanding of where you are right now, what the limitations are right now. That time is a flat circle. Most deadlines are made up. And if we want to get back into the habit, the only way it's going to stick, if it's coming from a place of desirability, that we have made space for in the calendar. If we're fighting it, if we're arguing, trying to get it, if we're not conscientiously preserving it, it's a lot less likely to happen. So that's the whole thing for me with the office hours aside. I love you guys, but you know what I'm doing, and I need you to get out right now. What is in there? It's so important you come in here twice when you know what I'm doing.
I'm sorry. It's just RJ made a treasure hunt and treasure hunt here.
I love the treasure hunt. I love that it's in here. It's going to have to wait, though, until I'm finished with office hours, okay? I love you. Thank you.
Sorry.
What did I just say? Thank you. Shut the door behind you, please. I'll let y'all know when I'm done. Okay, thank you. No, it's such a hard word. Forgot what I was saying. Yes, so go ahead and find the time that you're going to do it, put it in your calendar and try to commit to it. And it, again, doesn't have to be every day. Let's start with 2 days. Let's find 2 days a week that it works. So 0 to 2. 2 is awesome. And then and as long as you're enjoying it and can find a way to connect with it, you're going to do more. You're going to want to do more. And then there'll be spot for rebuild. But between now and then, 0 to 2, we're just going to find time in the calendar, try to make it happen. If an accountability buddy is the way, cool. I have people that I talk to. I schedule phone calls, catch-up calls with friends on these walks. That's the only thing I will schedule is I will schedule a call if I can walk it. I won't schedule appointments between 9 and 10:30 anymore because I drop the kids off and then go have my walk. If we happen to be a little early or ahead of schedule any given morning, then that means I've got a little extra time to do what I'm doing on the phone, walk, listen to a little more of my audiobook or my podcast, etc. So that is where I would say I would tell you to start if you've not been doing this for a while. If despite it being free, it's still been a little bit harder to step back into it. There are a million reasons why, and none of those have to do with you sucking. Let's find the thing and try to find the thing, make room for it, make it interesting, and it'll be a whole lot easier to stick to. So, and also know that it's valid. It is a whole lot easier to do things when there aren't wildfires or hail or air that's hard to breathe outside. When Coach Nakia was here staying with me, I thought we'd get up and we'd probably do some movement together in the mornings, but each day we woke up, walked outside, and it was like breathing a wet blanket, which again is not normal for Denver. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't want to go outside in that. So we didn't. And I'm okay with that. So doesn't mean I'm any less of a runner. It just means I'm probably not going to do a marathon this year. And that is fine too, because that doesn't mean I'm less than a runner. What that means is I have no idea what day it is, because what day it was always dictated by what sort of run I had to do and what I needed to eat in order to fuel it. And I would love to get back there at some point, but it's probably not going to be today. And it's probably not going to be August, because August is hot, August is gross, and it's not going to be less gross. There we go. Weekly wins. Amy Wilson did a local 5K with her daughter, Cora. Congratulations. Another one, she said, I did a modified EAT for strategy. For the first kilometer, I stayed in the 160s. And then for the next 3K, I stayed in the 170s. And for the last kilometer, I really pushed into the 180s. I was really happy with my time considering the year that I've had, and I felt pretty good. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Congratulations. And yes, yay, Amy. That makes me so happy. So the EAT, if you're hearing about that for the first time, that's something that is baked into the more challenging marathon plans. Because if you think about what we do here at Fitness Protection, is a glorified step-by-step process of learning how to run by feel. All we're doing with 140 is teaching you what easy effort feels like, and we're trying to keep you honest about it and trying to keep ego out of it, and not making it about a pace, but by capping your effort effectively. Anything over 140, I'm not going to believe it was easy. Anything underneath it, I will. I do not care how close to 140 you are. We don't do that sort of math. But with the EAT, it's not a must do. It's not a recommended, but rather it's sort of, when people ask how hard can I go, how fast can I go, the EAT is a good test to sort of say, well, let's see how long you can hold a pace with a heart rate in this band. If you look down at your watch and you see a number like 10, 20, I don't know, and your easy effort runs are usually like 12-minute miles, and you look down in the middle of a marathon and you see 10, 20, are you going too fast? It's hard to say exactly, but you're between the pace itself and the heart rate, you're going to have a pretty good idea of what is sustainable over time, because those are the three variables, like the effort, the output that effort produces, and time. Those are the three things that we're putting together, hoping to get the best distance possible. But basically the point is, I would really prefer that, Amy, I'm good that you did it. I think that's a great strategy to go out there and play with on the 5K. If that's something you want to do, talk to me about it and we can. But on the whole, it's like, I think I want to test my fitness with an EAT. I'm like, don't, man. This is not, if we treat the EAT like a test, no matter what you do, you're going to feel like you failed it. And again, let's wait until there's a time to challenge ourselves. There's enough challenging us all at the moment, especially, 2 feet of hail in July, y'all. It's not normal. Congratulations, Amy. I'm really glad you had a great day. That makes me happy for you. Trisha Thorne has had a lot of changes this summer, but feels like she's starting to settle into her new hometown job. You know what? I love watching you settle into your new hometown and job, Trisha Thorne. The photos have been amazing. I love it, and I'm happy for you. Okay, now the questions. My hips have been feeling really tight lately. What are some good foam rolling moves or stretches or yoga moves to help loosen the hips? So stretches always make me a little nervous, only because it's hard to hit the hip area with the stretch. You've probably seen the IT band stretch. Most people do it and say, I don't feel this in my IT bands. There's a reason. If I can sort of touch you and move you around like a marionette, we're more likely to get you into the position where you're going to feel things. But since that all likely can't happen, I will see if our resident yoga gurus, Carrie-Ann Kroshkia, could show us some of the hip opening moves. I love the pigeon pose. That's a terrific one, for example, but you probably need to do a couple of stretches or sun salutations before you going directly into the pigeon pose is probably going to be really painful. So finding a way to ease into it would be really good. With the foam roller, I do still like if you can get something super firm and rolling on the and rolling on the outside, or if you have even better like a Theragun, and using the Theragun on the little glutes, on the hip flexors, on the front, on the sides, that's going to do a lot of good too. So stretching is one part of it, but we also need to have some sort of manipulation, either in foam roller form or a Theragun type of form, to really get to get the muscles moving again. And the final piece of it is if that's happening, either we're overdoing it, we need new shoes, or we need to see a PT because we've got some sort of structural misalignment going on. But yay, it's a good thing. Yay for developing those muscles. Yay for working to the point that they need a break. Yay for doing that in summer when time is a flat circle. Many of us are not off habits and are not doing the thing we normally do. That feels like a huge win to me. So congratulations. Know that I'm jealous of your hip pain, but that is really where I would start. I've had a bunch of setbacks this spring and I'm trying to build back up my running stamina. Can you suggest a plan to build up to week 1 of rebuild? I'm still experiencing a lot of lingering fatigue from an illness and need to work up from a 15-minute walk to the 30-minute run jog in week 1. So the main thing I would do, honestly, because rebuild can work for any number of days a week that you want to do it, right? If you did 2 days a week, it's going to feel like a big jump in the long run. But if we can make the long run happen every single week, no matter what, and just find one other day that you can really commit to during the week, that's going to make a huge difference. And so let's say you take the Wednesday workout and the Saturday workout and you try to do those, and then make a goal to walk 2 more days in between. That's going to go a long way. If you take those 15 minutes, put like 15 minutes on the calendar and then expand it each week, that's going to work really nicely too. Expand it by 5 minutes. So week 1 is 15 minutes for those 2 walks. Week 2 is 20 minutes for those 2 walks. Week 3 is 25 minutes for those 3 walks, etc. And that's going to be more than 1 week to get you into rebuild. But why not take a little more time to really focus on the habit of getting out there a few days a week before you worry too much about the content of 4 or 5 days a week, if that makes sense. Not to say like you can do whatever you want. We have to, if we think we want to start getting back into a habit, into a training habit, and thinking about like the output there, then we really need to try to get back into the habit of being out there at least 4 days a week. So what I would recommend for that first week to get ready for rebuild would be to find any 4 days, put the time in your calendar, make sure that it gets done. I kind of don't care what, but if we could do, say, 4 20-minute walks and then one slightly longer 30-minute long walk, then that is a terrific place to start. Do that for a couple of weeks. And I think you'll find yourself itching to do more really quickly. And that is where rebuild comes in, because it's not a whole lot more, but we got a little bit more than just that built in. And you'll be raring to go because you'll already be bored. I would rather you spend 3 weeks kind of underdoing it and building up and being bored and wanting more than just to go harder in the first 2 weeks, then have to back off, which never feels good. And, you know, that's real. We got to balance your mental, psychological health along with your physical health, because setbacks during comeback are going to put you back even further. That's the last thing we want. Walk 4 days a week, get ready, get excited, get in a place till you want more. But for right now, I know y'all want more August, so I'm going to roll that out. You're coached. You're loved. Thank you for your questions, and know that you're all winning at life.